Good day and welcome to this channel. I'm very excited to have you here for what is probably the biggest overview of all Amazon profit analytics tools out there, and that is going to be hugely important when it comes to your Amazon PPC. Of course, that is what this channel is usually about, but today we're going to have a look at these softwares. I'm going to give you all the information you could possibly want, you could possibly imagine, not just in terms of which fees and costs they include, not just in terms of how they let you analyze your profit and sales, but also information about the companies behind those softwares to really let you know which software is not only a very good fit in terms of what they are offering in features, but also in terms of how you can actually trust the company behind them. Okay, so that is what you're gonna get today. I'm really intending to give you as much information as I possibly can. It has taken me multiple months to do this, and I'm fairly confident this should be of some value to pretty much all of you who are looking for that Amazon profit tool. And also, I just want to thank those tool providers who have really given their all, given me a lot of their time, and giving me a lot of very detailed answers about their tools in various demos and emails. So thanks to you guys as well. Otherwise, this whole project would of course not have been possible. So I'm really glad you're with me here today. For those of you that have not been here before, let me just give you some pointers about how this whole project, how this overview actually works, how it comes about, and what kind of background information you should probably have before you consider the results of this whole overview. And for the rest of you who have been around on this channel, you know from the PPC overview from last year, for example, how the scoring system works. So you can just skip to the timestamp that I'm putting into the screen right now. And for the rest of you, let me just quickly walk you through those two important aspects about this whole project before you consider its actual end result. And the first thing I want to talk to you about is the scoring system. So let's just have a look at it right here. Basically, I am giving 3 points for every tool that has a super in one of these green features. And those green features are really the basic inclusions of that profit calculations, as well as some basic analytics that I would expect from every Amazon profit tool. And then we also have the yeses. They get 2 points for every yes of one of those green features, as well as 1 point for a partly. Now, what makes a partly? Basically, that is simply if they don't have it in a very extensive way, perhaps they only have it overall for all of your products, but they don't show the KPI for your individual products. Things like that would make it a partly, while super is also just a relative thing. If it is in some way just advanced, just simply better than what the other tools are providing, then indeed it is a super, but that can change, right? Maybe in 1 year when they all have that particular setting, that advanced feature, they are all just going to have a yes. So that is how they get the points for the green features. On the other hand, they also get 2 points for every super of the other features, as well as 1 point for a yes, and half a point for one of those other features that are, very nice to have, I would say. Some more analytics features, some features that just make it a lot more comfortable for you to analyze, for you to manage your account perhaps. So these are the blue features, and I just want to point out, yes, it is, kind of my opinion, what is basic and what should be really included in an Amazon profit tool, and what is just nice to have, right? That's just my opinion, and already in that sense, the scoring system cannot be perfect. I also point that out in the PPC overview, it just cannot be perfect. But at the end of the day, I think this scoring system should give you a very good indication of who is actually offering you a lot of tools, a lot of analytics to really understand how your sales and profit especially are coming about. All right, and also finally half a point for each marketplace that they have. So if they have 10 marketplaces, then they are also going to get 5 points. All right, so that's it for the scoring system. And the second point is that pretty much all of these tools, well, not all of them, that's why I'm keen to keep track of it, are continuing to improve their tool, are continuing to work on these and other features, right? There might be many other features that I have not included here. Again, a point why it's not a perfect scoring system, but the point is they are continuing to work on it. So this might not be up to date in, maybe tomorrow, in a week, or whatever. And that is why I will also keep this up to date. Not as often as the PPC tool overviews, right? That is still my focus. That is still what this channel is mainly about. But knowing your profit is also important for Amazon advertisers, which is why in 1 year, in 2022, we will have another look at who is actually working on these things, bringing all these features in, and then also see who has that points difference compared to last year and who has basically been working the most. And that is, of course, I would hope, another big reason to subscribe to this channel. You don't want to miss out on who is really improving their tools the most. You want to be using the most up-to-date and advanced tools to keep your Amazon business as successful as possible. All right, and that is the second point I just wanted to give you real quickly. Also, as a last point, just for transparency's sake, I did work for Sellics for 4 years, but that has no influence whatsoever on the scoring system, which I'm really trying to make as factual, as truthful, as neutral as possible, simply stating if they have the feature or not, or if they have it in a very good way, or only in a very limited, partly way. Alright, and I think we're ready to go now. As you might have seen, I've already started giving you the first results down to the left, but I'm going to give you more of those results now. We're going to creep up that table. I'm just going to walk you through the sheet a little bit to talk about some of the main important features. I'm not going to really talk about the individual tools, that would take it a bit too far, but simply walk you through what, in my opinion, is important, which features you should have in your tool, and which features may be kind of must-have features, especially in the eye of an Amazon advertiser. All right, then you are now seeing all the tools up to the 80 points marker. Now the first column I want to bring your focus to is indeed the pricing. That's obviously always the first thing people are interested to know before they even consider what the tool offers. And in this case, as you can see, in the tools further below, there are also a ton of tools that really do offer a very good pricing, that come with a lot of value with little costs, some of them even having free plans. So certainly something for you to check out if you are, in need of a kind of rough profit analytics software. You're not into over-analyzing things perhaps, you just want to have a rough idea of your profits, then a lot of these tools will already be enough for a very good price. I should also mention that these prices are all related to the actual profit feature, so they might have even cheaper prices, but that is the minimum price you'd have to pay to get some sort of profit analytics. Okay, and the same thing goes for the max column, right? They might have more expensive prices, but that is still the max price you would have to pay for the profit analytics part of that respective software. And I should mention that the percentage pricing usually means that you are paying a share of your revenue or your number of orders. So basically there is no maximum for these tools. And then the next column I want to bring your focus to is the marketplace column. This is, of course, oh so important, especially if you're not just selling in the US or not just selling in Europe. Then you probably have to consider this a lot. Those that have less than 3 are usually in the US or / North America, and those that have less than 9 are usually in Europe and North America. So if that's something you have to look out for, then this is the column that you should obviously keep an eye on at first. And then the next column is all about historical data. Now, as I mentioned in the PPC tools overview in 2020, all these tools can only get 60 days of PPC data when you sign up. So that is actually also kind of a big reason for all of these tools to really make the right decision and to stick with the right tool from the start. But at least in this case, they can get you more of your overall sales and profit data. So usually I would go for a tool that has at least 12 months, ideally 24 months of historical sales data, and anything else above that is really just nice to have, but that is what I would also look out for in such a tool. Alright, and that is kind of for the basic information of these tools. Let us now go upwards a little bit again and see which tools have cracked the 80 points marker, and they are Amalytix, Shopkeeper, and SellerMobile. Alright, so we already have some very good profit tools here to make use of, all still at a very good price, I would say. So now let's walk into these first features of this whole sheet, and these are basically the profit calculation inclusions. As you can see, I tried to include all of the major fees and costs that pretty much every Amazon seller will be confronted with, right? Starting with the referral fees, storage fees, other FBA service fees, and the cost of goods. I should mention this column only refers to the upload though, because all of these tools obviously let you enter your cost of goods and shipping costs, because otherwise it would not be a profit analytics tool. So in this column, I'm just looking at who is also letting you upload those costs and not just manually enter each one of them for each product, because that can obviously be pretty much impossible if you have a lot of products. Alright, and then you also might want to look for a tool if you're really into 100% exact profit that lets you consider changing cost of goods. So you can enter a certain unit price for your first batch of products, and then after you reorder them, perhaps with a little bit of a cheaper price, then you can also set that cost from that time onwards. Now most tools will let you consider these different COGS based on different time frames, but this is an example of what would make it super if those COGS can also be differentiated by the order ID, by the last order ID basically, that still uses the old cost of good. So that would be an example of why OrderMetrics got a super here. Okay, and then further on we have things like returns, of course, refunds, Amazon ads, coupons, lightning deals, fees, FBM costs. That is kind of another special one that not too many tools have. FBM costs is about the tool letting you enter a cost per order and not just a cost per unit, because these are of course outbound costs, and if you have multiple units per order, then it will not be calculated correctly for all of these tools that only allow you to enter a cost per unit. Okay, and then finally you also have reimbursements from Amazon for the rare occasions when you get things back from Amazon when your products were destroyed in their storage, for example. So that is another factor that I would want to have included in my profit calculation. Now, just to quickly tell you about these other supers, I was actually surprised that there are any supers in this whole category, because I thought, okay, it's just going to be, does the tool have the fee or the cost, or does it not have the fee or the cost? But a lot of them actually surprised me. So for example, with the referral fees and storage fees and things like that, there are tools that let you analyze or even warn you about when fees have changed or when fees might be wrong. So Amazon might be calculating something wrongly, and that would be a typical example of a super setting. And regarding the returns, that would be a super, for example, with SellerSpike, because they check the exact state of your returned products and know if they can be resold or not. Other tools just assume the worst usually and just say they're not resellable, so that will never be quite exact. So that is another good example of what would make it a super. Alright, and just to kind of finish the costs included section, let's go to the basic external costs over here. So of course I would also hope from an Amazon profit tool to let me add other expenses, such as the recurring fee for that particular software, such as rent, such as so many other things that you can think of to really get that profit calculated. as exact as possible. Then of course, especially in Europe, I would want to have an option to include the VAT, which can also be different for different products in a certain marketplace. So that is something you should be able to enter for your products. And then you typically, of course, also have marketing costs such as Amazon DSP, as well as social media costs, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, ManyChat, etc. Or just simply paid search costs such as Google and Bing. Now the one that really stood out here would be OrderMetrics with regards to how they pull in all of those external marketing costs. That, to be honest, is one of those things that I did not expect any tool to have yet, but it's good to see that OrderMetrics is leading the way there, and certainly I'd hope for a lot of these other tools to catch up here within the next few years. Alright, so we've discussed the main basic costs that these tools include. I think you now deserve the first medal winner, the bronze medal winner of the 2021 Amazon Profit Tools Overview, and that is with more than 90 points, Entourage Margins, a great tool. As you can see, it gets a little bit more costly now, I think deservedly, simply because you can already see they do include pretty much all those costs, so you'll get a very exact profit calculation here already. So yeah, great tool already and a well-deserved bronze medal. But now let me just walk you through some of these analytics features that I think these profit tools should be able to offer you. And the first one is basically letting you analyze individual products. In other words, not just the account level profitability. And as expected, that is, I guess, not even worth a column, to be honest. I just wanted to make sure that all of these tools actually have that. And yes, they do. Now, the second thing that not all of them have is actually letting you analyze individual orders. Not sure that's something I personally really need. It's something for those that really want to go into detail and analyze why something went wrong somewhere, but certainly nice to have as well. And then you also might expect a tab where you can analyze which coupons are working in which way. Perhaps you just want to figure out if an absolute number is working well for you or a percentage coupons, things like that you can analyze in that kind of feature. And then you of course also want to see the return rate for your products. That is obviously always a big red signal when you see it's high for a product. That's where you need to react and you need to, adjust your listing information. Perhaps something is misleading, people are returning it, people are not satisfied, people feel misguided or whatever. So that is really where you need to go in there and check the reviews and make sure things are correct. And of course, make sure you are selling a quality product. Right then. Now the next thing I would also expect is to show me the ROI, return on investment, because simply that is a KPI that a lot of people do prefer to use over simple profit. Alright, and then we also have showing your highlights and lowlights, and that is only meant as a trend. What do I mean with that? So of course all of the tools can let you sort your products by the number of sales in a certain time frame. That would not be something special, but what I want to see is the trend. Which products are actually going upwards? Which products are, increasing their sales compared to the previous time period the most? So if you can see that, if you can sort by that, that would be a great way to kind of analyze, okay, where am I actually improving the most? Where perhaps the competition is growing and my product is really dropping suddenly. That's the only way you can see and analyze that. And finally, in these basic profit analytics functions, I would of course also expect you to be able to export your data. Alright, and just quickly before I show you the well-deserved silver medalists that cracked the 100 points marker, let me just go through pretty much one of my favorite feature sections, and that is the comparison analytics features. So basically that is all about, first of all, seeing how many of your sales are either PPC versus organic, or full price versus discount sales, or FBA versus FBM sales. So those are great things to analyze. For example, in the PPC versus organic, if you see that your products are below 20% PPC or actually above 80% PPC, I would say that's not a very healthy distribution. So somewhere in the middle would be healthy, right? Otherwise, you could say you're either not using PPC enough, there's a lot more sales to get from spending more on ads, or you are getting most of your sales from the ads, in which case it's likely that your listing is not fully optimized and you're not indexed or ranking organically for all of those keywords. So that could be one of those warning signals for your products. And then also what you typically want to analyze are the time periods. This is kind of a basic thing, and I was surprised that some of the tools don't actually have it. So this is simply the ability to see how your product is performing compared to last week, compared to last year, for example, to again see how things are developing. Okay, and then finally in this section, you might also want to compare your performance between different marketplaces. Is this product working very well in Germany versus UK, for example? And then you could go and analyze if the listing is at fault or simply there is more competition in that particular marketplace, and so on. Alright, and I believe you have been very patient now. You deserve to see the silver medalists. These are all top tools and very close to the #1 spot as well. It's really a very minor difference, unlike in the PPC overview from last year. So let me just show you the silver medalists, starting with ManageByStats, SellerBoard, and Elite Seller. All of them very good tools, and actually also starting quite cheaply in some cases. So really a high recommendation pretty much for all of those tools. Actually, SellerBoard was, as you can see, deservedly pretty much the favorite of most people that entered my contest over on LinkedIn before I uploaded this video, when they had to guess who would win this year's overview. And as you can see, they really do include a lot of these costs. So they're actually the only one that has at least a partly or a yes up until the DSP. So they do really give you probably the most accurate profit analytics at the moment in that sense. Although I should mention, for example, Elite Seller also said they are very much working on the other expenses feature. So really there's not a lot between these tools at the top, and it's really just minor differences, basically 1 or 2 columns where a yes will make the difference. So let me just walk you through some of those important columns and see why that difference may have come about. So here we have my second favorite feature section, the aggregated sales and profit analytics data. And the first and favorite feature of mine is really the ability to group your products, to tag your products basically, and see the sales and profit of a certain group only. So that is a very nice feature to have. And then you also want to be able to analyze your sales and profit on a parent basis and not just on a child ASIN basis. I would imagine that's especially important in niches such as the clothing niche, right, where people always have tons of variations of the same product and you don't really care too much about the individual variation sales. So that is another important feature to have. And then you also want to be able to quickly see the sales of my whole category. And with that, I mean without tagging the products first. So these tools have a feature to see all of my sales in the kitchen category or in the doghouse category, or whichever top and subcategories you may be selling in. And then also, if you have multiple brands in your Seller Central account, you may also want to quickly see the performance of those individual brands as a whole. Furthermore, for all of you international sellers, you will obviously want to see your sales aggregated for the whole markets. In other words, for example, for all of Europe, for all of North America, but also for the whole world. So not just the continents, but basically all of your sales from your whole Seller Central. And that brings me to the final aggregated data feature for all of you folks that have multiple Seller Central accounts in the same marketplace, for example in the US, you will also want to see all of your sales for all of your accounts together. So that is what this column will show you. And that is of course also great for agencies and the like to analyze their whole portfolio of seller accounts. Alright, I think I'm really stretching it here. There are a lot of features in this overview, so I'm just going to try to rush through the rest of those green and important analytics features before I let you know the big winner of this year's overview. Alright, so real quickly, basically all profit analytics tools that have your sales data will often also tell you the value of your leftover stock. They will forecast when your inventory will run out, and also sometimes they let you analyze your cash flow as well as predict your cash flow or predict your actual sales. Some of the tools also report your lost inventory or damaged inventory so that you can request certain reimbursements from Amazon, and some of them even let you auto request those reimbursements. Alright, so that's this section, and then the final advanced analytics sections start with analytics of best hours and days of the weeks. So just seeing which days are actually getting you the most sales, or perhaps even which time of the days are getting you the most orders. Then some tools even let you see the return reasons, so not just the amount of returns or the return rate, but digging a bit further and actually telling you what are the reasons for those returns. And then we have the basket size along with the customer lifetime value, actually, both of which are great features for advertisers if you know that the revenue that you can expect from a certain click is more than just the one-time revenue you get from that one order. So that is a great value to consider in your ACOS calculation, and that would actually be a super if the break-even ACOS calculation that they give you would also consider these aspects in their calculation. But either way, it's nice to have a tool calculate your break-even ACOS for your columns so you can quickly get started with your ads and know how much you can afford. And then finally, we also have sessions and conversion rate. Now, for those of you that know a little bit more about the Amazon API, know that this traffic data is not available via the API. So all of these tools actually are using Chrome extensions to get those number of sessions from your business reports in Seller Central. And this is of course a hugely important KPI, which then makes it possible to calculate the conversion rate of your products. And the importance of that KPI really cannot be underestimated in any way. These two KPIs at the end of the day really are the ones that matter when you want to increase your sales. Alright then, you've been really patient with me. If you haven't skipped ahead already, then you really deserve to see who is the winner of this year's overview now. And it is the only tool that cracked the 110 points marker, only just, but still, number one for this year, SellerLegend. Now, personally, I was actually really surprised at what they are offering. I actually heard of them already like 5 years ago. They popped up in the Slack channel in Sellics as a competitor. But since then, I haven't really heard anything about them. And apparently they don't do any kind of marketing, which we will also see in more detail when it comes to the stats behind those companies. But I just want to point out, yes, I was really surprised that they apparently have been working a lot on their tool. And you know, along with these other top 4 or 5 tools, have an incredibly extensive suite of analytics features. They really go the extra mile in making the tool as flexible as possible, letting you basically analyze every kind of data set that you want, letting you add various KPIs and boxes where you want it to be. This is actually also a specific feature that I have somewhere. Where is it? Let me quickly show you. Oh yeah, here in the quick smart analytics sections, we have the adjustable columns and widgets. So that's where they are, particularly super. And yeah, as you can see, they just offer a lot of these things also in the analytics data combined with other Amazon data, such as your price. You want to see the price trend for each product and then analyze where the profit or sales go up and down. You want to see your BSR, you want to see your PPC data such as ACOS/TAC costs, or just generally your ad spend and see how it affects your profit. And then also things like keyword rankings, obviously very nice to analyze along with sales and profit, and your buy box percentage, your reviews, as well as your competitors. So some tools will actually show you for each product where the price is actually higher than the average of your top competitors, for example, or if your number of reviews is a lot lower than the average of your top competitors. So things like that, of course, are very nice to analyze and understand why your sales and profit are as they are. And then you also have some very nice overall tool options, such as generally the option to manage multiple Seller Central accounts in one account, such as allowing multiple users with different viewing rights for your employees, for example. And then also various third-party integrations to connect your data to other softwares. These are the kind of things that really make a tool very nice to use indeed. Now, just in case I forgot to mention, these extras are not included in the points calculation. So here, SellerLegend would actually also have gotten a point for the account valuation. This, of course, seems to be very important these days with all the big companies buying up small sellers on Amazon. And then we also have your web shop sales, or you might also want to see your sales from other marketplaces such as Walmart and eBay. As you can see, SellerBoard here, very strong again. So they too could have had another few points here, although it would not have been enough to reach the top. But just to show you again, it is really tight at the top. And basically you cannot really say there is a big difference in amounts of features that these tools at the top offer. Personally, in terms of interface, I actually really like Elite Seller, which seemed very, very smooth and just beautiful to me, along with Quantify Ninja, another very beautiful tool, and perhaps Sellics, although I might be biased there. But also there, the profit analytics is just very well designed. But unfortunately, there are no points for that because that really is just my opinion. So congratulations to SellerLegend, but also the other top 5 tools that really have stood out here and deservedly got their medal. You'll actually find a link to all of those tools below. I'm also an affiliate to all of those that have an affiliate program, so I believe I can still remain very much neutral simply by being an affiliate to all of them. So you'll also find a discount code for some of the tools that are offering discount codes to their affiliates. So that is of course another advantage next to all the information that I'm hoping is very valuable to you already, that you can also get some of these tools a little bit cheaper. So what's up next? Well, before I actually give you the most exciting part about this video, at least to me, which is seeing what's behind those companies, I'm just going to give you some nice music and I'm going to move you through each row so you can actually stop the video for each tool and see what they have exactly. And of course I am going to give you the timestamps for each tool in the comments and the description, so have a look out for that. For those of you that do not want to see that, you can now skip ahead to the timestamp that I'm showing in the screen now, where we'll have a look at the social following of those companies as well as the employee numbers to get an even better idea about the companies behind these softwares. Alright, welcome back. I hope you found it useful so far. If you did, I would of course appreciate a like. And if you want more of this kind of content, feel free to subscribe. And you'll also be able to find out next year about who has actually delivered on new profit features. Not generally on new features, because they might be working on other things for their software, but who has really been working on making that profit analytics as perfect as possible. That's something I'll be able to show you next year as well. And of course, if you want to stick around for other overviews and more knowledge on Amazon PPC in general, then make sure to subscribe. Okay, but now let's get to the most fun part in my eyes, and that is the behind the scenes part, where we will have a look, first of all, at the number of total social following. As you can see, similarly to the PPC overview last year, it's not necessarily the ones with the most following that are at the top, right? Typically, the so-called all-in-one tools are more in the middle or more at the bottom, simply because they cannot put as much focus on one single feature. And then you'll have these more focused tools that will end up at the top, such as these ones today. Let me just quickly show you all of those socials, right? And this year actually I have a little bit more information than in the PPC one, because I actually checked all the socials 4 months ago before I started the research on all the features that the tools provide. So this year I can actually show you who is getting more known in the Amazon space, or basically who is still providing a lot of good content, who is perhaps also delivering new features, or whatever other reasons they may be for people to follow a tool. And so as you can see, there are a few tools that actually lost following. So there, I am honestly not sure if I can wholeheartedly recommend them, simply because it does seem like some of those Facebook likes here and there may have been bought. Not going to accuse anybody of anything. And now they're kind of decreasing again, as these Facebook profiles obviously get deleted after a while if they are fake. Now that's just my presumption. I don't want to accuse anybody of anything, but yeah, I'm just putting it out there. Here is the information as to who has changed by how much in their socials. And then the second thing I also checked, of course, on are the number of employees. Again, it's interesting to see that the size of the company apparently is not as important, though I should mention, of course, I am only checking the employee numbers based on LinkedIn, right? In some countries, LinkedIn may not be as popular, and so they might actually have quite a few more employees. But again, this is just an indication, just the information that's publicly available on the web, on LinkedIn in this case, so you can make your own conclusions from those numbers. And again, here I also checked the employee numbers 4 months ago when I started the research. So here for you to see. Although, to be honest, in this year I don't think it's really fair to read too much into those figures, simply because we did have a little pandemic going on and a lot of companies had to, of course, reshuffle, reorganize, and so on. But yeah, just for you to look at and make your own conclusions again. And then finally, I also checked the Trustpilot scores, but similarly as in the PPC overview, it's just not really meaningful data. Many of these tools are not really represented there. There's no review of them yet, and some of them only have 1 or 2 reviews. So for example, the SellerLabs rating is just not meaningful. That's one bad experience. And obviously all of these tools have had clients that were dissatisfied with their service. So in that sense, again, just for you to look at and make your own conclusions from that. And again, for all of you tool providers, I'm happy to just show you quickly where there might be cities where a lot of you are located, so that perhaps you can think of various corporations or even mergers of some sort. That would always be the most exciting news for me personally. So here you go, as you can see, New York and Los Angeles leading the way here. All right, and that is actually it. I hope you found it useful. This has probably been longer than I intended it to be, but like I said, I did want to give you all information you could possibly want from your Amazon Profit Analytics tools research, and so I hope I'm saving you a lot of time on that one. So yeah, as always, I'm very interested in your opinions. What would you change in this overview? Which features would you add? How would you change the whole scoring system to make it better reflect what are the top Amazon profit tools? In this case, I just really want to point it out one more time. I cannot say SellerLegend is the best profit tool because the scoring system is by all means not perfect. It cannot be perfect, but nonetheless, you could say all of these top tools that are in that kind of points region definitely will offer you a lot more in terms of analytics and accurate profit than the others. So there you go. That's the result of the Amazon Profit Tools Overview 2021. Congratulations to all of those tools at the top, especially of course SellerLegend this year. And maybe just to point out one more thing about the social following, that kind of proves that I really am trying to be neutral and as factual as possible. Obviously, I would have hoped for, personally, to be very honest with you, that one of the tools with more followership would end up at the top so they could share my video, and obviously I would benefit a bit more from that. But there you go, these are the tools at the top. These are the tools with the most of these features that I personally am looking for in a Amazon Profit tool. And that's it. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll hopefully see you around in next year's overview of the profit tools, or in some other overview of other tools such as the PPC one coming at some point in spring. So I'll hopefully see you around for that. Thanks a lot for sticking around for such a long video, and I wish you all a wonderful rest of the day.